Hi, I'm Glenn Simpson, and I've collected comic books for over 40 years. As it turns out, people who like comic books like looking at other people's comic books over the internet, so I thought I'd share my collection with the world. I have 180 long boxes plus some odds and ends, and so we'll look at one box per video, and today we're looking at box number one. All right, so we're going to begin with A.Bizarro. Funny little series. It doesn't really have a normal Bizarro that you know from Superman. It's kind of like if a normal guy got turned into Bizarro. And it's written by Steve Gerber, who was always famous for making some really weird stuff. We have issue one over here. We have issue 4. We're not going to look at every single comic in the box. We're just going to kind of look at the first and last in each of these little packs. I like to bag things that are complete runs together, and then that way they're a lot easier to handle that way. So we've got, there's A.Bizarro number 4. Let's see. Abominations. That's issue 1. That was an offshoot of the Hulk Future Imperfect series, if I remember correctly. And there's the 3rd issue of that. All right. Next we have something a little more up to date. Absolute Batman. You know, this box contains things leading up to the first several issues of Action Comics. And I never really expected that box to get very full, but now with all these absolute titles, we're definitely going to see that box getting some stuff put in it. So I've left some room in there. We've got Absolute Batman number 1. And there's number 2. And going through number 4. Some of these have some older, they're in a bag, and the bag that they're in is a little older and has some older tape. So you might see some ugly tape, but that's just on the bag on the outside. All right. And then keeping our alphabetical, we have Absolute Carnage. And I'm not a big Carnage fan. I don't have a lot of those sort of Venom and Carnage books, but sometimes with the crossovers, I'll pick up the things like this: Absolute Carnage Avengers, and there's Absolute Carnage Captain Marvel. Then we get into the recent Absolute Power miniseries. There's issue 1. For those who aren't familiar, Amanda Waller comes up with a way to steal all of the superheroes' powers, and the superheroes have to band together without their powers to find a way to stop her and get their powers back, is one way of saying it. And here is the 4th and final, I believe, issue of that. With DC, I mostly have the A covers. I do have some more variants when it comes to Marvel, because you can get the B cover for Marvel is the same price, recently, as the A cover, whereas with DC they do the card stock, and so they charge more for the B cover. This is a little package of the one-shots, so we won't see all of them. This is a one-shot. I believe that features the origin, sort of a revised, updated origin of Amanda Waller. And this is, that's part of that as well. Finishing up that new origin of Waller. Why does she hate superheroes so much? Find out. Absolute Power Task Force. This was basically, you really needed these as part of the overall event series. It was showed how a lot of the heroes got attacked. Let me make sure I'm as close an angle as we need to be. the how a lot of the heroes got attacked and got their power stolen, and each one features another one of these Amazos that steals powers. This is the one that went after the international heroes. This is the last issue, number 7. And a couple of one-shots. Got Absolute Power Ground Zero and Absolute Power Super Sun. Now we're back into, alphabetically speaking, we're back into the new Absolute universe. We've got Absolute Superman number 1. And I don't have, that's the back of probably an issue number 3. I think I'm leaving room for issue number 4 to go in there when it's ready. We have Absolute Wonder Woman. And also issue 4 is ready to go in there. Now, I am a very strict sort of alphabetized, even though it's sometimes it means that things get put in weird places. I'm very strict about keeping things alphabetized. So the official title is Accused. So this goes with Civil War II, but the title of the book is just The Accused. But this is a part of the Civil War II crossover. Little cool cover there with Daredevil. All right. Now, what you would expect to happen with the first box in the collection, we're going to get into Action Comics. We've got Superman in Action Comics number 0 from the 90s. Did I say I was strict? I'm strict. This is 0, so it goes at the beginning. Then we have one of a couple of reprints of Action Comics number 1. This is the thing to look for when you're looking at reprints of Action number 1 is the price area. And I believe this one originally was packaged with a reprint of the Death of Superman trade, and there was a, they were held together in plastic, and then this is separate from that. Then I have, and that one you can tell by how thin it is. That's just the Superman story. Then we have this version, which I believe is the Loot Crate edition. It's the one with, it's got all the stories, and it came with a Superman themed Loot Crate. Let me see, I think I can move this in a little closer here. There we go. Alright, so now we're going to dig into some 1970s goodness. I tend to focus most of my collection starting in around 1976, and just as I just picked that, I just always remember that year. So we've got some 1970s Action Comics here. We'll work our way all the way up to today. So we've got this one, got Green Arrow guest starring there. Got the Atoms. They're fighting Junkman. Didn't see a lot of Junkman later. Here's one that's the ones that you'll see that are in Mylar that have got the little dot. That means they're worth a little more at the moment. And so I am assuming that that's because of the tie-in to Jaws, which was, of course, a big movie at the time. So somebody had to make sure that we drew a cover that looked like that. We got a little bundle here. Here's one that you're familiar with. The often made fun of cover that kind of looks bad if you take out the word balloons, but it's all about Superman reveals his identity to this boy who they believe is dying, and the kid doesn't believe him. That's why he's crying, because he thinks Superman is lying to him, and so he has to actually prove that he is Superman. And then a few issues later, we've got this one. This guy's fighting. I got all, this alien here, and I don't remember the name of that guy, but also got Mr. Mxyzptlk story in there. So that's 457. I guess I should mention that. 457, and then that's 460. And we got one that was held out. Kind of a continuation of that last storyline. 461. Superman is the pits, and Clark Kent is the greatest. Well, everybody knows that. Let's see, got a little bundle here. Still fighting that guy. Got a little Crypto, the Super Dog, backup story here in 462. Let's see. Featuring the Super War of Independence. Back, of course, this is 1976. Everything was all about the bicentennial at that time. That's what I remember. Here we go. 466. Little Neil Adams cover on 466. I think Luthor had the daring plan to make the superheroes into children so he could defeat them because he likes to beat up children. Let's see. We've got a little bundle here. 467. Superman's going around wrecking the world. I'm sure he has a perfectly good reason for that. Jumping up to 471. Superman battling the Phantom Zone villains. That would be Faora H.I.V.E, if I remember correctly, that he is fighting there. Got a little Jose Luis Garcia Lopez cover there. I think I was right, because this is the next issue, and there she is. That might have been her first appearance, actually. 472 is this issue. Giving him a big old Coraline kick there. We jump ahead a few issues. We get Vartox. Vartox is a character that was based on a movie that was out around that time that we've watched, and it's terrible. That starred Sean Connery in very little clothing. So if young Sean Connery in very little clothing is something that appeals to you, then look up the movie Zardoz, Zardoz. And they created this character to kind of sort of look like that character. Let's see. Ooh, this is not the original issue, but this was one that I had when I was very much a young kid. It was one of my original books. Let me move this. Try to get the light a little better. And this with these guys, and they like blow Superman up like a balloon. That is always stuck in my mind. That's 477. These are these aliens who live in the moon, and they want to take over the Earth because the moon, was apparently a part of the Earth or something to that effect. And now they want it back. We are jumping to, it's kind of hard to tell, 480. Another good Jose Luis Garcia Lopez cover. Superman trying to keep a meteor from crashing into the Earth. I'm sure he probably manages to stop it. Alright, let's see. Oh, here's a good one. We have the Supermobile, pretty much designed for the toy people to have something to make for Superman. And he is, speaking of Amazos earlier, he's fighting Amazo, the android with all of the powers of the Justice League of America. And something had happened that was causing Superman to not have his powers. So he had to, he doesn't have his powers when he's, not inside the Supermobile. So by being in the Supermobile, he's able to use his powers, and so he's able to project his vision powers through there and use his strength through there, and it was good times, good comic book fun. Let's jump to 480. 484, I believe this is. 484, yes. This is the wedding of the Earth 2 Superman and Lois. Of course, you know, they're tricking you there, making your casual comics fan think that it's regular Superman getting married, but, you know, the experienced comic book fans at the time could see that Daily Star there and know that instead of the Daily Planet, so we knew this was not the Earth 1 Superman, the regular Superman, getting married. So, good times. This began the Mr. and Mrs. Superman backup stories that you would see in places like Superman Family. Let's see. Here we have, this is a kind of a reprint of the previous story where they had caused all of the kryptonite on Earth to turn to lead, so they were getting rid of the kryptonite threat for Superman, and of course that it would come back later, but and this is a reprint of that story with that great Neil Adams cover. Back here we have the Microwave Man facing off against Superman, and in the corner there we see there's going to be a backup story with Airwave, and Airwave was he's the son of a Golden Age hero and the cousin of Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, and he has taken over his father's role as Airwave, and he had a series of backups in a couple of different books over time, and then he kind of went away, and he actually, as of this recording, he's brought back fairly recently in a couple of things. So I used to love Airwave. He was just kind of a regular guy, you know. Here we have another Superman. He is Super Krypton dies again. Action Comics 489. I believe this was something to do with the light rays from the explosion of Krypton reaching Earth, something like that. And then back here we have Action 492, some sort of future vision of the future with Superman, where he's married to Lana, surprisingly enough, and things are not going well. Oh, and let's not forget, you know, you could be the winner in the Superman movie contest. Details inside. Let's see. Action Comics number 493. Not sure, I can't remember what the villain was in this, but Superman through the TV set. Because it involves TV, that might have been BlackRock. Not sure. But over here, Superman dealing with the Bottle City of Kandor in number 496. And they are warning him that he's about to release a disease that's going to kill everybody. I assume that doesn't actually happen. Let's see. Here we have Superman taking out a meteorite by throwing a building at it. Hopefully there was nobody still in there. Ross Andru cover. Ross Andru probably, you know, I think I liked his Superman work. He was, you know, next to Kurt Swan, he was one of the, you know, higher up Superman artists at the time. Done a lot of work at Marvel. Oh, here we go. So, Action Comics 500, extra long issue. If you were somebody who at that time was just wondering what Superman was about, this was your chance, because it kind of captures his whole life story, and he actually ends up with a clone in this story. So Superman was having clone problems. I guess this was still after Spider-Man's clone problems, but he too had clone problems. Let's see. There's a little one-off of everybody thinking that Clark Kent is the man and Superman's not that great, something along those lines. Just another little dealing with aliens kind of story. And got Superman, another Ross Andru cover. Superman, Action Comics 504, dealing with, I think there were some people from the future or something like that, causing some ruckus. Action 505. This is another one that I had for years, or I think it may be the one after this. And okay, kids, here's when we learn about tape pulls. Be very careful when removing your books. Don't let the tape get caught on the book, because it will take some of the paper off. So beware tape pulls. But this was not a super expensive book anyway, so it's only a problem in principle. This was some kind of Kryptonian robot beast that could appeal to children's minds or something like that. Here we go. Action Comics 508. Jonathan Kent, Superman's father. He's still around. And what's he doing here? How could that be? We read Action Comics 508 and find out. Action Comics 509. Superman throwing a building away. I don't remember why. He does stuff like that sometimes. 512. Superman stealing Lex Luthor's bald bride. Seems like kind of a dick move there, Superman. There's probably a good reason. And another electrifying adventure of Airwave. Always good times with Airwave. Here we had Action Comics 513, the return of Superman Island. I don't have the original story with Superman Island, but apparently in a previous story, an entire island had been created shaped like Superman that was out there floating in space. And then Action Plus, Airwave teams up with the Atom. The Atom and Airwave would team up sometimes. And then, in fact, other times it was just the Atom with a backup story here. We have Action Comics 516, Superman fighting Vandal Savage, who back in these days, you still had Earth 1 and Earth 2, and the Vandal Savage was really from Earth 2, and they never really explained how he got to Earth 1. Nobody seemed to make too big a deal out of it, but he had moved from Earth 2 to Earth 1. Well, I say he moved, or just they didn't care. But one of my earlier direct-only books. This was a book I probably did not get off the newsstand, at the time, so I had to, when I got the back issue, I ended up with the direct. Let's see, Action Comics 517, got Superman dealing with some wacky aliens, getting out there, the war for peace, getting two alien races to quit fighting, and you got some Aquaman backup stuff going on there. Here we are in Action 520. Superman flying off, doesn't care about Metropolis anymore. I'm sure he has a good reason. And in the background, we've got some Aquaman story back there. All right, here's a notable issue. We have Action 521. This is the first appearance of Vixen. She had originally been scheduled to have a first appearance in her own book, but in the late 70s, DC had what they called the Great Implosion, where they just had to cancel a lot of series, and it was her series never even made it to the drawing table, but her writer, Gary Conway, was then later doing Superman, so he brought her in there. So this is technically her first appearance with her animal powers. And there was backup there with Atom and Aquaman. Let's see. Superman, dealing with in Action 522, dealing with the Clockwork Man with a backup with of the Atom. Some sort of time controlling hijinks there. And over here we've got Airwave is back here in 525. Superman fighting Neutron, the living bomb. Haven't seen Neutron in a while. I don't know if we've seen him post-Crisis, but he showed up in a few different places pre-Crisis. Action Comics 526. Now he's fighting Neutron again, and Airwave is going to have an adventure in the background. Nice George Perez cover for Action Comics 529. I believe this was something along the lines of somebody had messed, I think Brainiac had messed with Superman's mind, so even though all these bad things were happening, he literally couldn't see them happening, so therefore he's just la la la, not doing anything about it. And nice little, action plus with Aquaman. So you're getting Perez on Superman and Aquaman on that cover. George Perez is by far my favorite artist. I'll probably be shouting him out quite a bit as we go. Action Comics 530. Yes, Superman, having come out of that spell, is going to fight Brainiac. And I believe this is where Superman actually manages to reprogram Brainiac to be a good guy, at least temporarily. And then there in the back, Aquaman and the Atom are teaming up. We're jumping forward to 533, one of the earlier appearances of the H.I.V.E. evil organization. We'd see more of them in New Teen Titans later, so I'm presuming this was written by Marv Wolfman. And we got Atom and Airwave teaming up in the backup story. Here we got Action Comics 534. We've got Lord Satanus and Cyrene. And this was a little storyline. It actually ran several issues where they split Superman into two. And one of them got the invulnerability, and the other one got the strength, and one of them got the super breath, and the other one got the supervision, that kind of thing. And we follow the one that was left, I believe is the one, I think he has the strength but not the invulnerability. So he keeps getting into fights, but then keeps getting beat up. And we would see more of Lord Satanus in the post-Crisis Superman, I think, and eventually we would see Cyrene. I don't think we saw as much of her, as Lord Satanus remains kind of a official sort of Satan stand-in at DC. And we've got Airwave having a great adventure, an alien adventure. Continuing that Superman storyline, that's why this guy, Jackhammer, I believe he's called, is getting the best of Superman, because that's the one that doesn't have invulnerability. But then, of course, they're using magic on the other one to hold him hostage, because either way, he's going to be vulnerable to magic, and they're sapping his powers and just all kinds of nastiness. Note here, this would be one that has the Masters of the Universe insert. All the books for a month at DC had that Masters of the Universe insert. So that's always a good time. So if anybody ever tells you that they have a comic book that has the first appearance and it's got that appearance, there's not just one. It's all of them for the month. Yep, I remembered his name right. Jackhammer. One more pounding from Jackhammer and you're dead. Get out. No way. So Superman's gonna have to half Superman there is going to continue to try to deal with Jackhammer. I wonder if his first name was Jack. I think he did. And continuing the double Superman story, but here with a cover by Gil Kane, classic artist. Did a lot of covers later on in his life for DC. Some people dig him, some people don't. think I like his covers better than his interiors. I think we are no. Right, Superman, and I think it's a bunch of robots. I can't remember, but Action Comics 542. We're beginning an exciting new era in the life of Superman. So something going on there. And so somewhere in there, in this bio, is the issue where Lex Luthor got his new power suit, and Brainiac took on his newest form. And so this is a couple issues later, 545. We continue that story, the Brainiac side of that story. Superman dealing with that modified Brainiac. He has no humanity left. And we jump, yes, and in the following issue, 546, Gil Kane again drawing Superman with the Justice League and the new Teen Titans to stop Brainiac's dastardly actions. I really did remember digging this when it came out, because you just didn't see the new Teen Titans as I was in love with the new Teen Titans. That was the greatest comic ever, and so anytime they showed up anywhere else, that was always a good time. And as much as I loved the way George Perez drew them, I always also kind of liked to see how other artists would draw them. A few issues later, Action Comics 549, we've got the Phantom Zone villains, and apparently these Vrangs were aliens who had invaded Krypton, back in the day, and were fought off. And so it's kind of like, even though the Phantom Zone villains are not necessarily good, they still want to fight these Vrangs who invaded their planet back in the day. Action Comics 550, the day the Earth exploded. I think we're getting into this period where, I hate to say it, but your average, at least Super Action Comics story, and really to some degree Superman story, kind of stopped mattering. They just told a story and it was over, and there were no like subplots or anything like that. They just kind of told the story of the month. But if you're a big Superman fan, you might not have minded that. But we got the day the Earth exploded here in Action Comics 550. And, here we do have one kind of something with some staying power, somewhat. 553, where the Forgotten Heroes appear. This was a group of characters who were not big characters, and they hadn't appeared anywhere in a while. In fact, I think Dolphin here had only had one appearance. Animal Man had appeared a few times, and I believe you've got Cave Carson and the Sea Devils and folks like that, and they formed the quote Forgotten Heroes. And we would see the Forgotten Heroes probably one more time, and then we would forget them again. A little bit of a classic story. In that Forgotten Heroes story, there's some time shenanigans, and we end up in a world where Superman doesn't exist. And so these two kids, who are sort of stand-ins for Jerry and Joe, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, they come up with Superman, and he comes to life, and he does away with an alien invasion. And it's how Superman gets out of the predicament he was left in the previous issue, although it's not really sort of scientifically explained. It's just these kids make him up, and then he's back, and everything's back to normal. Action Comics number 557 versus Terra Man. Terra Man's a weird villain, and I don't know if we've seen him in a while. He's a space cowboy, which, I guess he listens to that song a lot. But he is going up against Superman in a Western environment of some sort. I don't remember the specifics on that one. Superman's heat vision is out of control in Action Comics 558. Wait, we'll say no more. Action Comics 561. versus the Toy Man. And there's also artist Wayne Boring, who's one of the classic Golden Age artists, comes back to do a story. So that was probably cool for people who remembered Wayne Boring at the time. Jumping to 562, we've got Queen Bee and King Alexander, who I believe they were villains that had been created separately, and then I think here they're saying, hey, wouldn't it be cool since he's a king and she's a queen, let's put them together. And Queen Bee showed up again later, but I don't know that we ever saw King Alexander again. But Superman is taking them on. Then we have Action 565 with Superman dealing with Ambush Bug, who was the original fourth wall breaking character. He knew he was in a comic book, and he was constantly talking to the audience about funny things about DC Comics, and he knew what was going on, and he could teleport and that sort of thing. And so this is, I believe, before he got his own miniseries. Also of note, we've got Wonder Woman with her WW shirt that she wore during this time period. Let's see, we've got Superman goes up against Captain Strong in Action Comics 566. Captain Strong was basically a Popeye ripoff, so that if you wanted to ever have Superman meet Captain Strong, and Captain Strong had shown up a few times over the years, and so this writer clearly wanted to bring him back, and that looks like this is a Marshall Rogers cover. I didn't recall him doing a lot of Superman. With inks by Jerry Ordway, which anytime inks are by Jerry Ordway, it just looks like it's drawn by Jerry Ordway, but that's pretty cool. Then we have Action 569. So aliens are making a Superman movie, and they need a human Earthling to play Superman, and it really doesn't matter what he looks like because they all look the same. And there's a gag at the end of that. Again, not really groundbreaking stuff here, but fun stuff. All right, 570. Who is Alter Ego? I believe I remember who Alter Ego is, but I don't want to spoil it. Okay, I'll spoil it. It's some kind of copy of Jimmy Olsen. I don't remember why, though. Action Comics 573, J. Wilbur Wolfingham, Con Man, knockoff of W.C. Fields, up in here, selling the Earth. Superman has to compete in some sort of trials, or he does something to make the Earth seem like that the buyer really wouldn't want it, that kind of thing. Let's see. We have Action Comics 574. Actually, this may have been what I was thinking about when I said Superman was competing in some sort of competition. I believe he has to do some sort of intergalactic Olympics to save the Earth there. And it looks like he loses, but I'm sure he comes out good in the end. Action 577. Superman battling a vampire with art by Keith Giffen. Keith Giffen has a very distinctive style. He was noted at this time for his work on, Ambush Bug, as well as Legion of Superheroes and a variety of other things. He would go on to do the Justice League, what we call the Bwahaha Blue Beetle Booster Gold Justice League later on. Classic classic DC artist. He also did some Marvel. Action Comics 578. Lois Lane starts dating some other guy, and so Superman starts beating him up. That's what it looks like, but we know that that's probably not really what's happening there. Let's see. Action 581. Yeah, there's one story, I believe, we literally follow Superman around all day and see, minute by minute, And then in the other one, we find out he has a lawyer, and every once in a while he has to meet with him, and that kind of thing. So, yeah, you know, real riveting kind of stuff we were getting back at this point. But don't worry, we're getting there. It's about to happen. Hey, look, it's Rebirth. Not that Rebirth. This is Action Comics 582, and it looks like Jor-El and Lara come back to life, but I'm thinking they don't really come back to life. Okay, so a little jump here. We are jumping to the, it's just a few issues later as far as numbering is concerned, 585, but it is, now we're into the sort of John Byrne post-crisis era of Superman. Action Comics is now doing Superman team-ups, and this one has Superman teaming up with the Phantom Stranger. Followed by Superman and the New Gods. So he's having that fight. We got a little Legends crossover. That was the first big event after the Crisis, where the word is out that superheroes are a menace and should be done away with, and so then it turns out that's not, you know, what everybody legitimately thinks. They're being controlled. We've got Superman and the Green Lantern Corps starring in this one. Some beautiful John Byrne art. Love that John Byrne. Sometimes his writing is a little wonky, but never hate his art. Superman and the Metal Men fighting a chemo. I guess that's how you say it, chemo. And shaped like Superman. Here's a notable one that's a lot of people know about. Superman and Mr. Miracle. A thing called Leech from Apocalypse. Mind controls Superman and Big Barda and almost has them make a dirty movie, but they are able to overcome his mind control and avoid it. A lot of people felt like that was kind of a bad situation to even put Superman in. Somewhat notorious. Action 593. Follow that up with Action 594. Got Booster Gold fighting Superman. I believe the same month there was an issue of Booster Gold that had the two parties in the opposite positions. So it was a nice little shout out to that. Then we go to Action Comics number 597. Little weird thing here. They sort of, Lois Lane still doesn't know Superman is Clark Kent, but she's now being told that the Kents raised Superman alongside Clark Kent like a brother, which to me would make me want to more see them in the same room together at the same time, but hey, that's Lois Lane. She seems to have a hard time figuring this out. Action Comics 598. This is the first appearance of a group called Checkmate, who were a sort of spy organization at DC, and this was the first appearance of that group. So now we jump into Action Comics Weekly. Got 601. So Action goes back to being the anthology series that it had been for years and years. Each of these characters has stories. Superman himself only has a short story, a 2-page spread in the middle of the book. But it is, the series is where we got the new Secret Six. We got, I think Wild Dog had already appeared in his own miniseries, but he continued here. And we would get the updated Black Hawk. There he is. We get the updated Black Hawk. So several things going on. Short stories. George Perez again. Told you I'd call him out. Detail. George Perez known for his detail. Look at all those buildings that Green Lantern is falling into. Good stuff. Good stuff. And Dead Man under glass. What will he do? That's Action 605. Almost done with this box. Superman, a god. That was kind of the plot of the ongoing center spread Superman story, was that there was this group that was worshiping Superman as a god. So even though he's only getting 2 pages, they're still giving him some cover time in rotation. Black Canary in Action Comics 609. She's got a solo story. She had started wearing this costume and nobody liked it, and so she wound up switching back to her classic fishnet suit. Got Brian Bolland, English artist, doing that cover. Great stuff. Alright, we've got another Dead Man cover for Action 610. Looks like he's got some angels and stuff that he's dealing with. And Disco Nightwing. You know, at the time, I had no problem with Nightwing's costume, and it's not until later on in life, when people started calling it his disco suit, that I sort of figured out that, oh yeah, okay, it does kind of look like a disco outfit. But this was also very cool because it was kind of our first solo Nightwing, you know, outside of Titans storyline. So it was really exciting to get a solo Nightwing story at the time. A couple more. Action 614, Mike Mignola. He would go on to do Hellboy and that kind of thing, doing that Green Lantern cover. Groovy stuff. Got another Superman cover of Action 617. That is not an artist I offhand recognize. Then we've got Action Comics 618, Nightwing and Speedy in a cover that's an homage. There was a Batman cover, so where Batman was in that position and Robin was in that position. So this is an homage to that. This one's done, I believe, by Murphy Anderson, classic DC artist. And last for this box, we have another classic DC artist, Joe Orlando, doing a Black Hawk cover for Action Comics 621. So that's box number 1. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will do more of the same in the future. If please like, subscribe, follow, whatever, to give me some feedback, give me any questions you have. I love questions. I love explaining things. I love talking about comics. So let me know what you want to know more about. What you may have noticed was there were no comics that have numbers in the name, like 52 or 2099 World of Tomorrow, and that's because I personally use the classic Overstreet filing order system that puts all of those as if they were spelled out. So 52 is as if it was FIFTYTWO, so it's in the F's when we get to that. And the 2099s will be in the T's. So yeah, let me know what you think, and hope you have a great day.